Hi, my name's Emma and let's talk spooky stuff. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a unscripted video. I have not done one of these in a very long time. In fact, I'm gonna let you know this video is so underproduced that I'm actually drinking water. This is not tea. It's also really, really hot where I am in Australia, so I'm in a different location so I can have aircon on. Usually I'm sweating during my videos, so thank you for bearing with me. I thought because this is more of a chatty video, you'd allow me to sit on the couch. Obviously, a lot has happened in the last week with Scream. Scream 2022 had one of the biggest marketing campaigns of any horror movie I've seen in the last 10, 15 years. It has been absolutely huge. They really pulled out all of the works in the online marketing. And if you didn't see, I also did an interview with the directors, which may have got buried in your feeds because I didn't promote it as me interviewing them. So it might have popped up and it doesn't really look like a video from me, but it is me interviewing them. If you do want to check that out, that is in the link below. But I mean, that was part of the marketing for this film. It was huge. So it was no surprise when I got so many messages, and I've spoken to so many of you and had conversations all over socials, on Instagram and on Twitter about Scream and your opinions on Scream. We've really broken down everything we can about this film. I've already done 3 videos on Scream and I was not planning on doing a spoiler review, mainly because I know for the marketing of this film, they did not want spoilers out there. And then also because I know a lot of people can't go to the cinema right now, I just didn't want to add to putting spoilers online. But I did do another video about my initial reaction to Scream that was completely uncensored. If you do want more raw videos like this one, I do have them on my Patreon, and I did a reaction after I got out of the cinema with all of my spoiler thoughts because I did have a lot. So obviously I did a spoiler-free video about Scream, but it was really hard. It was so hard to talk about that film without going through all of the little details, and I feel like a lot of people were really taken aback by my reaction. I seemed very sad and disappointed in that video, but I do want to explain why, because I felt like I couldn't say anything because any hint or any way that I was going to back up my opinion with, moments that happened in the film were spoilers. So I thought today we're going to sit down. I have had so many messages from you, and because I can't get to everyone, I would love for this to be a place that we can chat with spoilers and really get out all of our different thoughts, opinions, and I guess theories going forward about Scream and what this Scream movie has done for the franchise. Please do not watch this video if you have not seen Scream. It will not make sense to you. I'm not going to give you a play-by-play of what happened. I'm going to talk through my thoughts. So you have been warned. I would really, really appreciate it if you did not watch this unless you've seen the film. Okay, the alert is out of the way. Let's get into it. Okay, my biggest takeaway from Scream 2022, now I've seen it twice in the cinema, I've been lucky enough to see it twice, is that I was very surprised by not just the fact it was a more sad entry to the series, and I will get into why. I was really surprised by the ending. So when I say sad, I do mean because Dewey, I want to say to everyone who's reached out to me and said that they cried in the cinema, so did I. Dewey was not one of my favorite characters throughout the whole series, but in this film, he just shined, and I wanted to say that so much in the video, but I just couldn't because I felt like it was a hint here or there. But he is just such a hero in this film, and I know that people have said it was stupid that he went back and what happened to him, but to be honest, it happens in every Scream movie. There's always that moment that they can pull off the mask. If you think about Sydney stepping over Ghostface in number 2, I think it was number 2, in the car, she had the chance. Like, everyone has the chance to pull off the mask and to reveal early, but that's just not a Scream movie, you know? But I was just so saddened by Dewey's death, and this is why I said it was a more serious film. Number 1, because Gail, who is like my comedic relief, she could not be as sassy and as I don't know, like harsh and reactive as she usually would be. It was obviously a really painful experience, and she was mourning during the movie. That scene when they're sitting in the hospital and she sees Sydney for the first time is so heart-wrenching. It's so hard to watch. I don't want to cry again. If you do want to see me cry, I did cry on the Patreon about it. Oh my God. I've put myself crying online so many times and it's always been over film. I do get why it had to happen. I've come to terms with it because I know something big had to happen in this film for it to make an impact and for it to really solidify its spot in the franchise and be a big turning point. So I do understand that, but that's why I said it was a more serious film, because I felt like they couldn't be as jokey. It just wasn't the path. And also because the new generation brings in all of the other comedic aspects. I mean, Dewey is really funny at the start. He makes a couple of wisecracks when they're sitting in the couch having that conversation. He's quite funny. But a lot of the humor is between the younger generation, and I'm a millennial and I have a very dry, sarcastic, I mean, they are sarcastic, but satire kind of humor, and it just isn't my humor, which I can totally respect. When he's like joking about his like muscles, like it's just not funny to me, but I can understand it's for a different audience. So that's why I said it wasn't really as funny. I meant like it isn't funny for me, but it also was so sad because they were mourning a death of, one of the greats. So I felt I couldn't say that. But what really surprised me about the film and why I look so shocked in my initial review is because I was expecting something crazy to happen. This is why I talked about how it wasn't as tightly wound or twisty as I thought. I would have to say the twist and the reveal in number 5 is very similar to number 4. This is because they go through the whole fan fiction thing in number 4. When they're doing the cinema club chat, they talk about requels and screamakes, and I thought that they had covered this subject. In number 4, they also brought on live streams and they had the ghost faces, with the cameras in their masks, and they were recording their own movie because they were such fans of the original film. I felt like we had done this. That's why I was very confused, and it was very different to what I thought because it was more serious and we were covering the same information. It was the same topic, I felt like, that we were redoing. So obviously number 1 is the original. Number 2, we talk about sequels. Number 3, we talk about the trilogy. And then number 4, they talk about remakes and reboots. And then in number 5, they do the same. So that was very strange for me because number 4 was about toxic fandoms. They also had already made one character related to the original cast. So, Emma Roberts' character is related to Sydney. So I thought it was very strange again in number 5 that Scream 2022, I call it number 5, that they made it so that they were all related to original cast members or people from the story, because it didn't really make too much sense to me because we'd already done that. We'd already had people related to the original members, and we had already talked about remakes and reboots and all that kind of stuff, and the changes in horror and people doing live streams and them wanting to make, such a fan of the originals and wanting to change the story. The big thing was Emma Roberts' character really wanted to change the original narrative because she was so sick of Sydney. And I can understand in, the new Scream that's different because they want to bring Sydney back and change some of the source material. So they have new source material for the new Stab movies. But I've seen a lot of people say the same thing where they thought that this was kind of weak. And I wouldn't say weak, I just was really, the word is kind of disappointed that it wasn't something completely new. I thought we were just going to go out and it was going to be this wild, twisted, mind-bending thing that would happen that would completely change, the course of Scream and how we saw it. I feel like we just already covered this subject. The only subject we haven't covered in Scream is prequels. So we'll see what happens for number 6. But that was like my main issue with the film, is I was just really hoping for this amazing twist. And I think I just had too high of expectations for sure. But seeing it for a second time, I was definitely more relaxed. I can't tell you, it was so strange to me. That was the first time I've gone to the cinema and seen a horror movie I've been doing this for 7 years now, and didn't take the camera with me and record my whole process. So that was a really fun experience just to like enjoy the film. I always enjoy the film and I'm very happy and grateful that I get to, explain my thoughts to all of you. But it was very interesting seeing it for a second time and knowing all of the twist. Some of it didn't make sense, little bits, but that's fine. Like the girl with the different color hair, I sound like such an old person, saying that she can't go to the hospital at the start because she needs to stay back. Obviously, they put in those little things to make everyone a suspect. But yeah, just little things like that. I was like, huh? It's interesting always watching the Scream movies back and knowing who the killer is and thinking, oh, is that Ghostface there and that Ghostface there? And of course, everyone had the same issue with Ghostface being as tall, taller than everybody, like being 6 foot when it's meant to be like a, teenage girl at one point. But I think that's just Ghostface, and we just let those things go. My other thing was Billy Loomis. I mean, I think we were all very taken aback when we saw him in the mirror and just in the film. It was very strange. I wasn't against it. I thought it was exciting, don't get me wrong. But I did talk about this in my ranking. I did not like the Maureen voice, so Sydney's mum's voice that they brought in number 3. What I love about Scream is anyone can be Ghostface, and it's someone in real life. It's not supernatural, and I felt like bringing those, I know it's all in her head, but I feel like bringing those, he still told her like where to get the weapon at the end, but I felt like those moments really messed with me in that regard, where I really like the fact that Ghostface has to be someone that they know. And the whole movie is based on a killer that it's not based on any supernatural entity. Not that it's supernatural, but it's in her head, she's seeing things. And again, he did tell her where the weapon is that she ended up killing the guy with at the end, which I guess we should just talk about the reveal. We've spoken about the subject matter and the explanation, which I understand it, but I just didn't feel like it was pointing that way. And they just kind of explained themselves really quickly at the end, which makes sense. But as I said, I wanted a more tightly wound story. And I thought given 10 years had passed, maybe there would have been a more interesting idea put into it, but I'm gonna leave that. I did guess who the killers were. I guessed the boyfriend pretty early on, or just really had a strong feeling about him. Just when they were driving to the town, he just seemed like he was pretending like he didn't know what was going on. And I thought that was really weird. And of course, it's a boyfriend. You always suspect the boyfriend. Dewey caught on really fast, so that was definitely a sign. But the girl, I was 100% on her. She was just so sinister from the start and so protective of the lead, the final girl. She was just so protective of her, and it just felt really possessive and creepy. And yeah, just from the start, I guess that this is the only Scream movie out of all of them that I've ever guessed any of the killers. I never have guessed the killer. Sometimes I used to watch Scream back, like the sequels, and forget who the killer was. I mean, you never really forget Emma Roberts and obviously the first guys, but I'm like, Roman who? You just watch it back and you remember as you go. But this one, it was just so obvious, and I've seen other people say that as well. So again, I feel like given that time to write the script and to follow up the last one, I was just hoping there was going to be a point of difference. And the difference in this film was the feeling. I felt like it was darker, which I love. It was more brutal, which I thought was awesome. But I felt like all of that effort and stylization was a little bit different, but they really recycled a lot of what we have already seen in the other films. And maybe that's purposeful because they wanted to please the audience. But I was just hoping if you're gonna make something new, just like go all out. Like that's what I'm all for. So I think those are the main points I really wanted to explain with the film. I really loved the gore, as I said. I thought that all of the kills were brutal. And I really do think it deserves a 7 out of 10 rating. I'm so glad I gave it that, because I did say at the start I was going in between a 6 and a 7, but when I watched it a second time, I just know it was meant to be a 7. I think I was so taken aback at first, but I still really enjoyed it. And to watch it twice in the cinema in the same week and be just as captivated as the first time I saw it, I love that. And I thought that all the performances were pretty well done. I think it's a solid film. I just was expecting something a little bit different. But again, it's coming from different directors, so you have to kind of take that in your stride. Quickly, I do want to mention a theory that I have about who survives. I think it's very interesting that the twins survive at the end of the film, because usually, sometimes there's survival. We got Randy out of one, but I thought it was really weird. I had my friend Sammy who said that she believes, like in her theory, that they survived as a nod to Randy because everyone loves Randy so much. In my head, I believe because they've made such an emphasis on gay characters not being able to be killed, like that's the only way to survive a Scream movie. My theory is that's why the girl survived, and that might be why the guy survived, either because he didn't have sex with his girlfriend because she asks him to have sex and he turns her down, or that he might follow on for the, another Scream movie and might come out. I don't know if that's too far-fetched, but I just thought about it because I was like, why did he survive though? I understand why she survived. I also thought it was really weird that she just kind of got a stabbing and was like, carried on. But he got like butchered and somehow he was still okay, which was very strange. I should have mentioned, this is why I script things. I also thought when Ghostface was in the hospital and they have that scene and Ghostface kind of like slashes the boyfriend but then walks away from him and goes after the girl in the wheelchair, that was my biggest confirmation that it was the boyfriend. I had suspected beforehand, but I was definitely 100% then, because when does he ever walk away from a victim who's on the ground first without killing him and then like walking on to the next person, especially when that person is trying so hard to get away in a wheelchair and they have a hand injury, not allowing them to, get away at a speedy pace. So I thought that was like, it was all very obvious, which was a surprise. Okay, I would love to hear what you think about the new Scream movie. Let me know your theories. Please get all the spoilers out and let me know what you think about the similarities between number 4 and number 5. Do you think they're similar at all or do you not? Did you see what I'm saying or can you not relate at all? It's totally fine if you can't. And hopefully I explained myself properly. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I was not going to do this video. I'm putting it up as a bonus video this week, so hopefully that's okay. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Emma, also known as Spooky Astronauts on YouTube. If this is the first video you're seeing from me, this is not normally what my videos are like, but we do discuss horror a lot and I give you a lot of recommendations. So if you'd like to come along for the journey, hit the subscribe button and I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.